to me, I wasn't even interested in things because to me, nothing was interesting on it. At the end of the race, it all settled, and the ones that had run up front wound up being up front.
Back up front.
I like to see a race finish like that.
Yeah, they still don't need to have them stages on a road course.
That's got to confuse a regular guy sitting there watching the race.
Well, it confused me.
Where he really meets them people is getting in the corners.
Yeah.
And you'll see them lock up brakes. You never see him lock up his brakes. All right, we've done another Roval deal or whatever they want to call that thing. Roll over or whatever.
Well, me and you both was there and had good vision where we could see everything, Richard. And if you want to call it somewhat of a road course, if you do call it anything like a road course, you can see everything, and that's the only one like that. You know what I mean? Where we was at, you could see everything.
We was up on the condo where you could, we could look down and see everything.
But the winner was, I guess, who was going to win it before it started. I don't know, but
all he had to do was stay on the racetrack.
Yeah, they raced him hard, and I guess at the end of the race, the drama was the 22 and the 1 who got.
Yeah, as far as who was going to make the cutoff,
last cutoff, yeah.
Because the front runners was all separated. One thing about the race, to me, I wasn't even interested in things because to me nothing was interesting on it.
Okay.
But the top people, the 88, the 5, the 20, 17, 71,
16.
They all run up front all day long. And the deal, me sitting there watching the thing, and then they start making pit stops. Did he make one? Who's made one? When did he make it? How far ahead was he behind, or how far behind was he? But at the end of the race, it all settled down, and the ones that had run up front wound up being up front.
Back up front.
I like to see a race finish like that.
Yeah, probably if you're at the racetrack, that was a little bit more confusing than if you was at home watching it on television about where everybody was at. But I got it taped, so I hadn't watched it yet.
Yeah, I didn't see it on TV, so I don't know how good
they kept up with it.
They kept up with it, or whether they made it look interesting on TV. Because if you're sitting in the grandstand and watching the thing, then when they first start, everybody's in line. You know where everybody's at. But then the 10th place guy stops, and then the first place guy stops, and 12th place guy stops. Where's these guys at now? Because the guys that have been leading the race, I seen it one time, the 5 and the 88 was racing for the lead, and some guy come up in a car while they was busy racing. He just pulled out, went around, and went on. And you say, "Hey man, what?" I mean, these guys is racing, and this guy's done blowed them away. How can that be? But that's a disadvantage that I see from my standpoint, where the tires wearing out that much. I'd rather see the tires stay somewhere close so that it's not as important to be ahead or behind. Because, if you run an extra over there, if you ran an extra lap on used tires and the new guy had new tires, that's 2.5 seconds difference that he can make up on.
Could be more than that if he's in traffic.
Well, but from that standpoint, it takes the actual racing on the racetrack, it takes it away from the racetrack. And I always figure that the racetrack's where the race ought to be, not in a lot of your strategy and stuff. But strategies always come in no matter way back when, you know what I mean? When you make the pit stop at the right time or caution falls, circumstances beyond your control sometimes. But the interesting thing was that it kept everything, as far as I was concerned, it kept everything confused until right at last, and it didn't. Then it settled down, and everybody just kind of finished up.
Like you said, the cream come. But one thing I'm gonna bring up, Richard, and this is just my opinion. they still don't need to have them stages on a road course because people can stop with 2 laps to go.
Yeah.
And
then,
not lose a lap.
Yeah, and then 8 or 10 of them stay out
for points.
All the guys that they're looking for the points and stuff come in, and they're back about 15th or 20th. And, again, that's got to confuse a regular guy sitting there watching the race.
Well, it confused me.
Well, it's always confused me, and it still does. But like I say, it works that way. So really, to watch a race like they had at the Roval, you watch the first segment of the race, and then you come back and watch the last segment of the race, because in the middle it's so screwed up.
Yeah.
Nobody knows where anybody's at. And these guys is running, driving out there, and they're doing the best they can. They got no idea whether they're first or whether they're 27th. And I know they interviewed the 11 driver after the one car spun him out on the last lap. And he was talking, he said he had no idea where he was running. He was just trying to pass whoever was in front of him. He had no idea whether he was 5th or 29th, you know what I mean? So he was just running. And all the drivers out there probably realized they didn't know where they was at. Just try to do better this lap than you did the last lap.
Well, it's kind of like when the 11 car passed the 23 at Kansas last weekend. It just,
that was a different situation.
Okay, yeah,
everybody could see what was going on.
But there was a bunch of strategies pulled, and like you said, it was hard to keep up with them. But 22 had a plan. He made an extra pit stop and had fresh tires,
right,
and wound up getting in the playoffs. And
that was the difference, though.
Oh yeah,
you mean
but it worked.
Their strategy paid off. Maybe not as much as what they done, but the bad things that the one car did. The driver screwed up a little bit, and then I don't know if he could have got by if the 11 car hadn't have got in front of him the very last lap, then he would have made the playoff.
Oh, I didn't.
Or made the next segment.
Well, I got to watch my tape and see that. But sometime during the first stage, and this was strategy too. Of course, we was watching the 43 and the 42, of course, and the 43 come up and just run off and left the 23. And I said, well, the 23's got trouble, because the 43 wasn't all that great, but he just ran off and left him. But the 23's plan was when the stage come out, first stage, a bunch of them stayed out, you know what I mean, the 16. But they were saving their tires, Richard,
right,
so they could run longer
the next time.
And the 16 car now, when he stayed out, he run some good laps out front until he just used his tires completely up.
Along in the race deal, and where the segments and stuff come up, the 88 would run, and then he'd stop and get tires and still win the segment.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, that's how quick he was.
Yeah.
I think he wound up, 15, 16 seconds ahead of the last, but the 5 car and the 20 car made it interesting there about 2/3 through the race.
That was
they went down one of the corners, and the 5 just knocked the 4 out of the 88, and I think the 20 got by him also at that time. But the deal with the 88 driver, me just sitting and watching stuff, he's so regular. In other words, if them guys running faster, so what? This is my speed. And then when they use up their tires and use their self up, then he's just kind of cruising along at a certain speed, and he don't fall off. Okay, like the rest of them. I mean, he uses up his real tires like everybody else.
Yeah.
But the big deal watching him run and stuff, where he really meets them people is getting in the corners.
Yeah,
I mean, he'll beat anybody going in the corner 2 or 3 laps, or 2 or 3 car lengths, and you'll see them lock up brakes. You never see him lock up his brakes. I don't know where he's got an analog on the thing or what he's got, but that's where he's really superior to some of the drivers that he's racing against. And so, again, he's so regular that being regular overcomes people when they really take off and then they slow down that much more. So he stays in the middle all the time.
He's never out of control, and he never out of where he needs to be.
He's very disciplined in the way he drives.
He's disciplined, like I said, with the car.
Just because them guys passed him, he didn't panic. He didn't try to race up there and race with them. He let everything settle down, and then after they run 3 or 4 laps, then he decides, okay, it's time to go. So he pulls out and goes on.
Well, I didn't bet the farm because wouldn't nobody take it, because I was going to take the 88. But okay. It's coming up to more our style racing in Vegas this week.
Yeah, we're going round and round for a change.
Yeah.
We can keep up with, or I can, and I think you can too. Even when they do strategy on a round and round track, if you're sitting there and you can see the whole track, then you can kind of understand really what's going on.
Well, they can't use as much strategy, even though they still have the stages, because if you pit,
strategy. Okay.
If you pit, you're going to lose a lap no matter where you're at.
I think the 22 won the race out there last year because of strategy.
Okay.
He wound up making his pit stop and wound up being able to go a little bit further on the gas, or the way he made the pit stop, and that he wound up winning the race. Not that he was the quickest car. So their strategy really paid off there.
Was it a green flag?
I don't remember. I just remember that.
There's one race he won on fumes.
Well, whatever. As long as you win it, you win backwards, sideways, upside down.
But let's get back to the playoff. He made the playoff. He made the final 8. But just looking at the points, he's back on the hot seat now. He's got to win a race about to
like
make
you
the
said,
final. Make the final.
He's
4.
70 points behind, and he's got 3 races that he's got to make up 70 points on the guy that's leading the thing.
Yeah,
and that's the reason I don't
or win a race.
That's the reason I don't like the way they got the point system, and when you start a playoff, everybody ought to be on an even kill. Okay, in other words, nobody's got any points, nobody's got anything. Football, baseball, basketball, everybody starts. They throw the record out the window, and then you say, okay, everybody's on an even keel now. And when somebody's 70 points ahead of you going into a 3-race playoff, the only way you can do is win all 3 races to be able to overcome that.
Well, one thing about it, we know there's one of the 8 drivers is going to win the championship.
Yeah, you're pretty. you got a good figure there, man. I'm proud of you.
That didn't take much math, did it?
I had to put up with that for 30, 40 years, right?
Yeah, and look where you're at now.
I think they're still out the window talking about the horsepower deal. I don't see. I see horsepower really changing the way the guys drive the cars. Instead of changing the gears, sometimes they'll be able to have horsepower to be able to pass cars. So I think you'll be able to see more passing with more horsepower, and then basically that's what people like to see.
Yeah, it's what they're trying to make the races better, but they still got to realize that they got different handling packages on the car too, and we've really seen it in the last few races. Tires are a big part of it too, but it'll certainly be something different, and it'll help some people more than others. We'll just have to play and see what happens.
It's really hard to say. The cars are so much different. The environment's so much different. The pressure's so much different. If some of the 3 or 4 of the drivers that's today, if they had grown up in the society that the guys grew up with, 10 or 15 years ago, they would have been okay. But to take them out of one society and put them in another, there's no way that you can make it. It's like you can't compare apples and oranges, so there's no really comparison in that vein.
Yeah, that's a hard question, but up until 1983, there wasn't no power steering. That's when power steering first came in.
73.
83, because I had Terry Labonte and he didn't like it. Okay, and and some of those drivers, no matter how much they worked out, they just wasn't man enough to handle them cars.
I still think to have a champion of NASCAR, that is a year-long championship. It's not a one-race championship. It's not a four-race championship. It should be, if we run 36 races, who is the best out of those 36? They should be the champion.
I'm with Richard on that. First race, they start it. 36 races, they end it, and whoever's got the most points is a champion.
You know, I guess he's sitting there, he's so frustrated anyway. He had to try to finish, and he probably gained a position by doing that. If he'd have sat there and had to wait till other cars come around, turn around, and go forward. So I thought that was a quick, smart move on his part, being he was that close to the start-finish line.
Yeah, they done good, but AJ done the same thing in the 16 car. And of course, I hadn't seen it on television yet, but let's remember the one car at Martinsville when he got in the playoffs by running the wall wide open, and they even made a rule against that.